Falcon fans, this is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. So today, quick Falcon news. Talk about the addition to the defensive coaching staff with Jerry Gray. We'll talk about some news about the salary cap finally coming out. And then we're going to get into some free agent wide receivers that's out there that the Falcons could potentially add to this receiving core this offseason. So guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like buttons. I know you guys like hear I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people could come in and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So guys, as you all know, the Senior Bowl is about to kick off. The East-West Shrine game is coming to its close this week. You know, we had our coaching staff down there actually coaching the East of the East-West Shrine game. We got Charles London being the offensive coordinator at the Senior Bowl. We got scouts all over the place trying to get a look at these guys. Remember, a lot of guys coming from the Senior Bowl have actually been selected by these Atlanta Falcons. So we definitely need to take a look at some of those guys. And we're going to be particular from this East-West Shrine game this season as well, because we actually had coaches down there actually coaching those guys. So it's really, really interesting. Speaking of coaches, talked about, know you guys heard about the report about the Falcons was trying to bring in Jerry Gray to add to Ryan Nielsen's defensive staff. And guys, this is another guy that really, really helps out this defense. He was actually one of their head coaching candidates that they had interviewed. Of course, you know, he has a relationship with Arthur Smith dating back from the Washington Redskins at the time, the Tennessee Titans, where he was a defensive coordinator. He was always also a defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills back in the day. This year alone, Jerry Gray coached the defensive backfield for the Green Bay Packers. He was the defensive defensive pass coordinator for those guys, and they had at least sixth best in passing for the defense for the Green Bay Packers. So adding him in the secondary and adding Ryan Nielsen to that defensive front, that mixture of those guys bringing in their brain matter to come in and try to create the best defense possible. Still waiting on some of the other hires. Of course, you know, we let Gary Manuel go, Ted Montalcino go, those guys, and Hoke go as well. So got to replace those guys. But bringing in a guy like Jerry Gray, a lot of NFL experience, 60-year-old, like I said, being a defensive coordinator in different spots. But his background is definitely working with defensive backs. Like I said, had the sixth best defensive passing defense in the league this year with the Green Bay Packers. So, guys, let me know what you think about the hire of Jerry Gray. I think it's a good hire to bring in another guy that they was actually considering being their defensive coordinator. Now, tagging him up with Ryan Nielsen, I think the front half and the back half should start to mirror. And I think it's good because he coordinated that pass defense last year, so he could take some burden off Ryan Nielsen, because we know Ryan Nielsen's specialty is that defensive front. And if he can get them guys humming, going after the quarterback, development of some of our young guys that we had on the staff, and then whoever we bring in the free agency, put beside Grady Jarrett, a guy like Taquan Graham, I really believe this is really going to help us out. So let's just look and wait to see who else they add on the coaching staff. But I think adding Jerry Gray with Ryan Nielsen is definitely going to be a good benefit for the Atlanta Falcons. I like the moves they have made so far in this early part of the offseason, just along with the coaching staff. Also, guys, the NFL came out with the salary cap finally for the 2023 season. It went up by $16.6 million from last year. Everybody kind of thought, go look at Sport Track, and over the cap, they had it about $225 million. It came just up under that at $224.8 million. Looking at that, the Falcons have about $56,414,885 to spend in cap space. Of course, We look at some guys like a Marcus Mariota that could definitely be cut before the new league year. That will give the Falcons 12 million in cap savings, and then another guy who surprising that looking at who they actually brought in a defensive coordinator could also be a casualty cut. A guy like Casey Hayward. I don't know if he fits the scheme that Ryan Nielsen want to run. We're going to talk about that scheme later on because a lot of things that Ryan Nielsen do, does a lot of man-to-man coverage more than zone. So I don't know if Casey Hayward fits the mold that he want um, to actually use that coverage. But if they let a guy like Casey Hayward go, definitely that's another $5 million. So that's $17 million. You can add to that 56 million that's showing up on over the cap right now. Like I said, and then you just go into the top 51. It's a little bit more than that. But right now, the Falcons projected to have about 56 million. And then, like I said, if they do some cap savings, with getting rid of a guy like Marcus Mariota and another guy who really wasn't on my radar, but definitely could factor in, considering who the defensive coordinator they just brought in, another guy like Casey Hayward, another 5 million. So with those two guys being cut, you add 17 million to that $56 million. That puts you at about 77 million, right? So did I do the math right on that? Give or take, right? So this just one of the good things we got to think about, guys. The Falcons gonna have be players in free agency for the first time in a long time. I'm really excited to see what these guys got to do. If you go back and look at the teams that have really put themselves into the playoffs and to Super Bowl contentions, you look at what the Los Angeles Rams did. They went all in and actually put a lot of money on some key free agents and brought them in to help them get it over the top. You look at what the Philadelphia Eagles did this year. They went out and got a guy like Reddick and got one of the best freaking pass rushers ever in NFL history, right? So getting guys like that add to your free agency. The Falcons definitely gonna have the money to do that. They're not one or two guys away. They really got to be smart with their funds, how they manage their salary cap. But if they do it the right way, including our last two draft classes and who they bring in this year for draft picks, is really going to be important. So let me know what you think about the hiring of a guy like Jerry Gray to add to that defense, and then the potential of the salary cap being at almost $80 million going into the free agency period. What the Falcons going to be able to do. Can't wait to see. I'm excited about that. So speaking about spending all that money, right? I did a video on the cornerbacks and the secondary players, safeties and cornerbacks here a while back of the money that the Atlanta Falcons could definitely go out and spend. Big name guys that was out there that definitely I thought the Falcons should consider in the secondary. Guys like James Bradbury, definitely somebody we could bring in. Guys like Jimmy Ward over with the San Francisco 49ers. Those guys, all those guys I talked about, definitely fit in the scheme that Jerry Gray is going to be running in the secondary. But we're going to go to the other side of the ball, talk about the receivers. And to be honest, when I looked at the free agent receivers, really wasn't that impressed. Some big name guys out there who a little long in the tooth. Didn't want to bring those guys in because I didn't think they fit with Arthur Smith's scheme. So I just went out here and picked some guys. I really think that the Falcons need to bring speed in some areas. So these are the guys that I really think that the Falcons could add in free agency. But I really believe if they're really going to get a playmaker in the receiving room, I think they might go into the draft again. But we're going to talk about these 5 guys real quick, and you never know, these guys could hit the ground running and actually do something for us. So these are the 5 guys. Of course, you see the first guy I got up there. It's not in any order who I think they're gonna go after first or anything like that. But Guy like Olumide Zaccheaus, who's going to be a free agent, already knows the system. Could definitely come in. Not saying that he could be a number two, but he definitely can come back being a number three receiver. Only going to cost us about $3 million to bring him back. That's what his market value is right now. Olumide Zaccheaus had 40 receptions, 533 yards, with 3 touchdowns last year for the Atlanta Falcons. So, like I said, somebody that already knows the system. Come in. He actually can take the top off a little bit. A lot of his touchdowns he had, especially with Matt Ryan, was deep touchdown passes. So a guy I think can stretch the field if you put him into those positions to do so. But a guy that knows the system already, guy like Olumide Zaccheaus coming back, I just at that price tag, I don't see why you wouldn't bring him back. Like I said, $3 million, bring a guy like Olumide Zaccheaus, a little veteran that can come in and help that young receiver core who we're going to bring in. The next guy is Jacoby Myers. I know a lot of people talk about Jacoby Myers, a guy that can come in, play with the Patriots, somebody that we definitely could utilize. His price tag is a little bit more expensive, $12.5 million dollar price tag for a guy like Jacoby Myers. That's his market value right now. Last year he had 67 receptions, 804 yards with 6 touchdown receptions. So bringing a guy like Jacoby Myers in could definitely benefit this team to go alongside Drake London to be a number 2. We're not trying to find a number 1. We're trying to find a number 2. But a compliment like somebody that has a little experience in the league like Jacoby Myers would definitely help us out. So bringing a guy like Jacoby Myers in is really, really a good idea. At that price tag, $12.5 million, 3 or 4 year deal, something still young, a guy that we can bring in and grow with this team. The next guy on the list is Mecole Hardman. We talked about having some speed, and this is why I got Mecole Hardman on this list. He's a straight up burner. Was injured this year a little bit with a hip issue, but a guy that can definitely take the top off. Somebody that we utilize. We can use some gadget plays. We can use him to stretch the field, sort of like they did Demir Bird this year. Somebody that I really believe that they can do. His price tag is $11 million. To me, kind of high because his production only had 25 receptions, 297 yards this year for 4 touchdowns. So I don't know if he would go for that much, but if they can get him for a little bit under that, about $7 or $8 million, definitely consider. But his speed is what we want. Somebody to actually be able to stretch the field, to open up the underneath routes for a guy like Kyle Pitts and Drake London. So definitely bringing a guy like Mecole Hardman in would definitely be a benefit for the Atlanta Falcons. Right now, it's going for $11 million. In my opinion, I don't know if he would get signed for that much. Maybe they can get it for cheaper than that. The next guy on the list is Paris Campbell, Indianapolis Colts. Really cheap price. Probably because of injury concerns. I have to go back and look. But $2.5 million a year. Another guy that you can bring in. Don't know if he can be considered number 2. But to add to the receiving core, the more weapons you have would definitely help. He had 57 receptions this year, 581 yards for 3 touchdowns. So another guy that the Atlanta Falcons could definitely bring in. Really was not impressed with this free agent receiving core, guys. Like I said, there's some names out there. Definitely can go out and look. Guys a little bit older, but they used to be number 1s. Maybe could still be number 2s, but I wanted some guys that's gonna fit the offense to Arthur Smith. Somebody that's physical, that's able to block, or they can able to stretch the field. So that's why I want these kind of types of receivers that's on this list. But definitely, guys, if you know any more guys that you think that could fit this Atlanta Falcons offense, I would definitely love to hear about it based off that free agency list that's out there right now. And the last guy is DJ Chark, going about $9.5 million a year. His production last year was 30 receptions, 502 yards for 3 touchdowns. Another guy that definitely could come in and help the Atlanta Falcons. Remember, we're not looking for a number 1. We're looking for a number 2. a mixture of these guys come in, but I really believe that they definitely probably need to go out into the draft and pick another young receiver to come in to fit what they're trying to get out of this offense this year. Um, the more weapons we have, the better it be for guys like a Drake London and a Kyle Pitts, and to help our running game as well. So you want to be able to add the skill players. You can get guys like Amico Hartman for cheap. Um, like I said, Jacoby Myers would definitely fit in as a number 2 receiver for us if we want to go that route at that 12.5 million. But overall, these are the guys that I think would definitely fit in for the Atlanta Falcons. Also, they definitely gonna have to go in the draft and pick a receiver as well. I just don't feel like um, the free agency market is really that great for a receiver position. If they want to go out and find a veteran guy, a guy like Julio Jones is still out there. AJ Green, like I said, those guys are veteran guys that you definitely can go look at. But in my opinion, those guys are kind of out of their primes, and then depending on what their price tag would be, what you want to bring those guys in. A guy like Julio definitely would be a good guy to bring in, to help mentor a guy like Drake London. That would be awesome, and Kyle Pitts as well. But I think he's just a little bit too old, too injury prone. I don't know what he would be able to bring to this team unless he get like a vet minimum deal or something like that. So AJ Green, I say the same about him. Definitely two are the best receivers that have played, in the NFL over the last 10 seasons. So those guys out there in the free agency market, these guys are younger. These guys, what I feel that definitely can come in and help out the Atlanta Falcons in the skill positions. Like I said, a guy like Alameda Kids coming in, somebody who already knows the system. Um, a guy like Jacoby Myers definitely could be a number 2. And then we're going to have somebody that's going to take off the top, a guy like Miko Hartman come in, and they always have to be weary of him getting over the head of players, which would open up the seams for Kyle Pitts and the underneath routes for a guy like Drake London. So, guys, let me know what you think about my free agent wide receiver that's out there. Not sexy. It's not no big name guys. Not like in the secondary we talked about earlier. Big name secondary players definitely can come in, and help us out. Jesse Bates, those guys. Jordan Poirier, like I said, Willie Ward, Jimmy Ward, all those guys. No, on the receiver side, that's not what we have, right? Guys that you know who they are, but not big name guys that can come in, but definitely could be number 2s in some cases and fit the scheme that Arthur Smith is trying to run from offensive standpoints. So, guys, let me know what you think about my list. Let me know what you think about the salary cap. Also, let me know what you think about the hire of Jerry Gray. And this is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.